Shalom, sisters. First, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for allowing us to see another day and giving us another opportunity to repent and strive to be virtuous daughters of Zion. And today's video, it's going to be a little special video. It's also going to be a part 2 on controlling your lust as a single woman in the truth. But this time, in this video, is going to be more encouraging. All the tips and stuff is on part 1, so if you haven't watched part 1, I highly suggest that you watch that and then come back to this video, because I talked about the consequences of whoredom back in those days, and I also talked about discipline and self-control and how important it is for us women to be disciplined and self-controlled, and how it's fruits of the spirit, and also tips on how to do it, how to get started and control your lust, and prayers for lust. And then I also talked about, you can make a vow if you want to with the Lord about it. So all that is in part 1, but in this video I'm going to be encouraging you guys that it's possible, and also sharing my testimony and how I did it. So with that, I'm going to get started. Let me tell you, I'm gonna try to get as much out, and also be cautious on what I say, due to personal reasons, because prior to me coming to this truth, I didn't really have an easy life. A mass majority of us sisters, we grew up in a single parent household, specifically having our mothers raised us and our dads were absent for whatever reason it may be. So we wasn't really taught on, the structure of how marriage is supposed to be and how a man is supposed to treat us. And usually, women, they can't really teach all that stuff, right? Especially those that were left and they were bitter about it. It's going to be the complete opposite, be Miss Independent and all that stuff. So that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. But I'll say this, I did grow up in a single parent household. My mom raised me, and also I was a military child at that. So I barely had both of my parents, because my dad, he wasn't present, and my mom, she wasn't present because of the military. But she did her best to raise me as best as she could. And she also went through the curses as well. Her father wasn't in her life, but again, that's a whole nother thing. But it does play a part in this video, because when you don't have that father figure, again, you don't really know how marriage is supposed to be and how a man is supposed to treat you. That's why it's very important to have both parents in the household, right? But it did play a part a little bit of the journey, the life that I lived prior to coming to the truth. But also I was exposed to sexual things at a very young age, whether it be on TV, and just seeing different men come in and out the house. And also at the time when I did lose my V card, I was a teenager. It was a time where social media and all that stuff was definitely pointing to another direction, where it was still kind of discreet in a sense. It's not sexually exposed. It wasn't sexually as exposed as it is now, but Definitely I was exposed to that on like social media. Friends that I hung out with, they were losing their V card at a young age, and probably done lost it way before I did. Just talking about all this sexual things. So, me, not me, but for those that do know me, like I'm a very curious person, and most times that's not a good thing. So, I will say that when I was a teenager, it got me my phone and all that stuff. And my mom, she would tell me not to download certain apps because, she knew, but she didn't really tell me anything. She just tell me not to do it. And of course, Israel, to be specific, when somebody tells us not to do something, we do the complete opposite. Just being hard-headed. So um, it was a time when Kick and Uvu was around. If you remember Kick and Uvu, you know. And then Instagram, they will have these kind of videos, those couple videos and all that stuff. If you know, you know. So I was exposed to a lot of that. So it's just like, I'm having friends, they talking about it. I'm seeing all this stuff on Instagram. So I was just like, you know what? Okay, just it got me, right? But I was also scared because it was just like, does it hurt? Does it like, what am I supposed to expect? Like, I don't know nothing. Like, I barely had the sex talk with my mom or anybody. It's just like, I know about it, but it's just like I'm not prepared, you know what I'm saying? But also, not knowing the Most High, not knowing that sex is marriage and all that stuff. Like, I'm just boyfriends and all that stuff. Like, that's not scripture, and I didn't know that. A lot of us didn't know that, so we thinking that this is normal. Again, this kingdom got us thinking that a lot of these things that is against the moral code that the Most High has set for us, they like it's normal, but it's not. But anyways, going back to the story, I got my first boyfriend, whatever, and I don't really know nothing about how a man's supposed to treat me. It's just, just doodly do, just doing what everybody else is doing. And then I lost it, and how I lost it was very traumatizing. I was exposed, and I was called all types of names, whore, a hoe, and all that stuff. And it's like, this is my first time, and plus, like, I didn't know that this person was recording me. Like, this man did it, like, he was secretly recording me, and I didn't know it. And I'm in pain and all that stuff. Like, this junk hurt. Like, it wasn't a good feeling at first, right? And then it's just like, after that happened, it's just like, dang, like, I feel completely shitty afterwards. And it's just like, the moment that happened, it's just like, can't stop, you know what I'm saying? So growing up, all that stuff, but it was times that I wasn't doing all that stuff because, again, like, my mom and them didn't know that I lost my V card or whatever, and I didn't want them to know. So it was times where I did chill out. I wasn't really doing all that stuff, but growing up, I was doing those things, right, with the boyfriends that I had and all that stuff, but I will say this, in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to be a wife. But it's just like, again, you don't know how marriage is supposed to set up. You don't know how a man's supposed to treat you. And plus, I'm being taught to be independent on stuff, not depending on a man and all that stuff. So it's just like, I don't really know. And it's just like, not having my father in my life, I'm just feeling in a void where it's just like, giving these men my value and all that stuff. And it's just like, I had the mentality where it's just like, if I give them what they want, they'll give me what I want, love and all that stuff, and that's a very horrible mindset to have, and it's just really sad that a lot of us sisters, we think like this because, we're so, like, the curses, we're destroyed and all that stuff. And it's just like we're doing all these things for love and all that stuff with the wrong men, and we just giving our value to these men that doesn't deserve us. So now we just take in a lot of their spirits and all that stuff, and it's changing us, right? Because I will say that it did change me. I was a lot more moody. I was a lot more angry, like bipolar and all that stuff. Like, when it comes to sex is spiritual, right? I think I said that in the part 1. Sex is very spiritual. You're taking in what you're taking in their spirit, and their spirit is coming into you. And then scientifically, if a man puts a semen in you, that stays forever. So that's why, it was very harped on in scriptures that we lay with one man, and if you lay with somebody else, that's adultery, right? But I'm not going to get too much in that. That's not the point. I think I explained all that in part 1. I don't know, but back to the story. Where was I? Yeah, sex is spiritual, right? So I'm just taking in a lot of spirits, and it made me more angry. It made me more moody, like I'm bipolar and all that stuff. And in the world, like I'm not knowing all this stuff. I'm thinking this is normal. Like, if something don't work out, you get a new boyfriend and y'all do whatever. But I will say that my intent for majority of the men I laid down with, I wanted something with them, right? But it's just like I'm attracting the wrong type of men, and it's just like, and it also did take a toll in my confidence and my self-esteem, because it's just like these men want me, but it's just like they get what they want and they just bounce. So it actually did, it hurts, and it still hurts just thinking about it, because most of the time I was genuine, but it was the time where it was like, you know what, I'm gonna do these men how they do me. And it's just like I'm hurting myself in the process, because now learning that men and women, they don't think the same, whatever. Like, we're two totally different creatures. Men, however, they can go off and do all the types, like they can lay around, but as women, we can't, because we're more in tune with our emotions. Like, it's a emotional connection when we lay down with somebody, that's biology, whatever. But that's why it's like very much important to be instilled with self-love, because when you're laying down with so many men as a woman, like, you're lacking self-respect for yourself, and also it's very poor spiritual hygiene as well, because like I said, you're taking a lot of these men's spirits and it's coming out on you and all that stuff, and now you acting weird and different. So it was a point where it's just like I wanted to be celibate, and this is where the truth comes in, right? So my best friend, right, she had planted a seed that I'm an Israelite. She brought down the curses and the order, the Most High, Yahushai, man, woman, child. And she was saying that if that's out of order, that's where all these curses come in and all that stuff. And it made sense. And then when I read Deuteronomy 28 and I learned that, hey, like, this book is about me, I was like, you know what? Before I even knew that this was like a covenant with the Most High, me and my best friend, who was like, we're gonna be celibate, right? we're going to preserve ourselves for whoever the Most High gives us for husbands, right? So I was like, I was really genuine. Like, I really wanted to be celibate. And, that didn't last long because, temptation come in. And before I say this, right, when you decide that you want to live righteously and live after the Most High, that's when Hashatan come and mess with you, right? Because you always hear this, even in the world, like whenever you want to do what's right and follow after the Most High, Satan will come and try to tempt you, because it doesn't make sense for Satan to tempt you while you're doing wickedly, because he already got you doing what he needs you to do, so he's not going to bother you. But it's like whenever you try to break free, that's when Hashtan's like, where's this person? So back to what I was saying, Hashatan, he's gonna be like, where's this person at? And do anything that he can to try to reel you back to him, so that you don't submit to the Most High. And I feel like that was the case with me when I first started on my walk, getting to know who I am, getting to know the Most High and all that stuff. And plus, I don't think I was really prepared or really expect what I was getting myself into. I know that it was going to be like, it wasn't going to be easy, but I didn't think it was going to be this hard. Like, I was going to fight for my life. Like, I wasn't thinking all that. But, I had went off. Like, I was probably like 2 weeks into the truth. And at that time, I had gotten to know my beloved, but at that time he was a friend. I had found him on Instagram, right? And I don't know why I was just so easily drawn to him and like opening up to him. But at that time, I would first things first. When I met my beloved, at that time, I was not looking at him as if, oh, this is somebody that I want to be with for the rest of my life. Like, I was just trying to get some information. I was just trying to learn and all that stuff. So at that time, I was not looking at him as my beloved. He was just somebody that I want to gain some information from. But we had built a friendship out of scriptures. So I'll praise to the Most High for him, because he plays a big part in this journey as well. But back to the story. We had met. We was like getting to know each other and all that stuff, and I was so easily comfortable telling him that, hey, I had went off, right? And he did the best that he could to try to direct me and guide me. Because I'll say this, like, my best friend, she planted the seed, but he played the part in watering me and getting me to like understand the scriptures and all that stuff. So I'll praise to the Most High that I came across him, because if it wasn't for him, I don't even know where I would be right now. But anyways, so I told him that I had went off, and he was just trying to tell me like, hey, sex is marriage, but he didn't really break down to help me understand that, because I was just like, okay, like, it's like playing upon tables, but at the same time, when I was looking at it, I was like, okay. And then it just went out of my head, right? So I did make an effort to try again with the celibacy, right? After I had went off, and then a month or two later, I went off again. And this time, like, I'll say this, this time, like, I don't know what was in my head. Like, I was being tempted. Like, I was being tempted again. I didn't really have that the spirit to be self-controlled or have discipline, because I will say this, most of the time whenever I do go off and lay down and all that stuff, like, that was just a way of how I knew how to cope. If it wasn't that, it was weed, right? But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I'm a year clean with weed as well. So I'll praise to the Most High for that. But back to the celibacy journey. I was doing a lot of that, just to cope, because at that time I was going through the most traumatic things of my life. Like it was like a couple of weeks before I graduated. I graduated a year before I came to the truth, but briefly, 2 weeks before I had walked the stage, I was homeless. I was bouncing from home to home. And, all praise to the Most High that I was able to walk the stage, because I was like, it was during the time COVID, and we didn't really, we wasn't really in the school building, but it was lifting up a little bit. So they gave us a choice whether we could be online or come back to the school. So I stayed online because, one, I didn't have any transportation to go to the school, and two, like, I was already outside of the district line to where I could get on the bus, right? If you know, you know. But I was just I wasn't going to any of my classes. I only had 2 classes, and I wasn't even going to any of my class online because I was working 2 jobs, trying to keep a roof over my head, bouncing from place to place to place. And at that time, I was in a really toxic relationship with a woman. I'm not even going to get into all that, but it also plays a part because that was the start of, just this traumatic experience that I had to go through. But I'm grateful that I had to go through it because I wouldn't even be in the truth. I went through living with so many different family members, and those didn't work out. I'll always be put back on the streets and all that stuff. And I'm the type of person where it's like, I don't like to ask for help. I'm slowly breaking out of that, but at that time, my pride was up here. Like, I didn't want any of my friends to know that I'm struggling because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to struggle. So I'm thankful that the Most High put a spirit on my best friend to have me to stay with her so I could get back on my feet. And she was coming into the truth as well, but she had more knowledge of the truth more than I did. So I'm very grateful that she planted the seed. So all that stuff happens for a reason, and I was still going through it even when I came into the truth, right? Going through a homeless journey, and coping with that. I would lay down with whoever I was dealing with at the time. And I'm trying not to cry, y'all. It's very traumatic, but yeah, so I didn't really know how to cope with this. So I was like, you know what? I was tempted, and I laid down again. And at that time I knew what I was doing, because it was very wicked. But again, like, I wasn't really understanding that what marriage is, right? So I told him again, I told my beloved again, like, I went off again, and rebuke, but kissing my wounds, encouraging me to it's you're ignorant, the Most High, he winks at our ignorance, but don't do it again. So I tried my best not to do it again. And then a month or two later, but before I did that, the Most High had to punish me. He cursed me, right? I had to go through my my cursing. The Most High, he had to humble me. And even then, I didn't learn my lesson, right? Because I went off again after he then put a judgment on me. And it's just like, at this point, I was just at my breaking point. I was just like, I don't think I can do this. Why is it so hard to be righteous? And I told my beloved again. And that's when he really got on me. and he was like angry, he was furious, but then he recollected himself, and then he came back, and he was encouraged me that I could do it, right? And I made sure that that last time was my last time. Like, I was very sorrowful at that time, because like I'm genuine, like I really want to um preserve myself. So I cried for like so many days, and pleaded the Most High for forgiveness. And at that point, I made a vow. Like, I made a vow out of desperation. And I encourage you, sisters, to not do that. Because like I said in part 1, learn to gain something. Like, gain some kind of self-control and discipline before you make a vow with the Most High. Because the Most High, he takes vows very serious. You have to really hold up every word that you said. So and my beloved, he made like he instilled that in me as well. Be careful, like, not be careful, actually be careful with your vow, and make sure you're holding up to what you're saying. So I did that. And but I will say that even though I wasn't laying around anymore, but the lustful thoughts still kicked in. And again, the tips, all that stuff is in part 1. So I did what I had to do to make sure that I combat this, right? And it took a lot of prayers. It took that vow. It took me to distract my mind so much to not be caught up in that lust, right? So it was a time where I just stopped thinking about it. It went completely out of my mind. And fast forward to like, I say June or July, I think, where I'm looking at the calendar and all that stuff, and I'm about to be like, whoa, it's about to be a year since I've been celibate. I've been preserving myself. And I will say this, right? Even though it's been a year, it's still a big accomplishment for me. And I would say this for sisters out there, like, this is an accomplishment, right? Don't let anybody downplay your accomplishment. Be like, a year, like, that's not that long. But it's just like, if you're coming from a background like that, and it's hard for you to let that demon go, because I'm not gonna lie, lust is a very hard demon to combat. So it's just like, don't let anybody discourage you of your moment, and giving all praises to the Most High, because this is something to be proud of yourself for, right? Because through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you was able to do it, right? So I wanted to put that out there. But yeah, I realized it was about to be a year of my celibacy. And my beloved, and all the people that the Lord blessed me to have around in my little circle, they encourage me, they applaud me, because it's like, they know that it's not easy to combat. And also, you will want to be around people that is happy for you for your small accomplishments, right? So I wanted to share my testimony with you guys, to encourage you guys that it's possible, right? It's possible to do things that you set your mind to, right? So I have 2 scriptures to encourage you, sisters, that you can do it. 2 scriptures that come to my mind. So the first one is, I think it was in Luke. Let me find it real quick. Was it Luke 17? Was it? Hold on, let me find it real quick. Salakia, y'all. I'm talking about Luke. This is in Matthew. Matthew chapter 19 and verse 26. But Yahushua beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with the Most High, Yahweh, all things are possible. So, with the Most High, all things is possible. Because we have to remember what God we serve. Like, we serve a powerful God. Anything is possible with him. So don't let this like demon like feel like it's impossible, but with the Most High, like it ain't nothing, right? So remember the God that we serve, right? Because he's bigger than all of our worries, all of our obstacles, all of our problems. Like, he's bigger than all of that, right? And another one is the classic, everyone knows this one, Philippians 4 and 13. Let me get there first of all. Philippians, where's Philippians? Hold up, don't mind me, y'all. I'm trying to find Philippians. Oh, there it is, it's right here. Philippians 4 and 13. And it reads as follows: I can do all things through Hamashiach, which strengtheneth me. So, with that, I pray that you sisters got something out of this video. I pray that you sisters were encouraged. And again, all tips, all things is really expounded on part 1. So go ahead and watch part 1. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and infinite glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Shalom.